hand gesture that you deem appropriate, I will not judge. Now, of course, with the Houses of Parliament, we've got a few associated towers. You've got the Victoria Tower at the back, the largest, which is the Parliamentary Archive. So inside that building, they have a written record of every law in the country since the year 1497, very long time ago indeed. And they also hold all of the ballot papers from every general election in that tower as well. So if you've ever voted in a UK general election and you wonder where your vote goes, well, it literally goes into that tower over there, guys. Now, of course, down the end, we've got one of the most recognisable British landmarks. Yes, it's probably one of the most famous clock towers in the entire world. Now, this is, of course, known worldwide as Big Ben. However, guys, I have to tell you that that clock tower is actually not called Big Ben. I know it's all been a lie, you have been fooled your entire lives. This clock tower is called the Elizabeth Tower, and the name Big Ben is actually the bell which is inside of the clock tower. So none of us get to see Big Ben, unfortunately, but we do get to hear it chiming on the hour every hour. Now, the name Big Ben comes from a man called Benjamin Hall, in charge of building the bell. He was described as being not a very nice man. He was quite rude to his workers, quite loud and round-shaped, kind of like a bell. So they decided to nickname that 13.5-ton bell after him. Very insulting indeed, if you ask me, guys, but let's just be grateful that his name wasn't Richard, or we'd have a very different landmark indeed. Now, of course, do not forget, guys, everyone calls this Big Ben, even the Londoners do. So if you asked a Londoner where the Elizabeth Tower was, I'm sure they'd probably look very confused indeed, guys, so don't worry, you were correct. Now, I do have another rule on board that you guys will enjoy. When we pass underneath any bridge today, I want you guys to make as much noise as you can, get the attention of everyone up there, and see how many waves you can get back from everybody on the bridge. Give it a go, guys. Hello on the bridge! Go on, give us a wave, someone. Yes, thank you. Trust me, guys, waving at bridges on the tour today is the only opportunity that you can wave at a stranger in London and get a wave back from them. Trust me, if you tried it later on the tube, the Londoners will not be quite as friendly. Now, on to the right-hand side, you will see another iconic London landmark. Of course, this is the lastminute.com London Eye, the world's tallest cantilevered observation wheel. A very fancy statement indeed, but all it means is that the wheel is supported on one side. You can see it just at the back of the wheel there. And yes, guys, the London Eye is actually an observation wheel. It's not a Ferris wheel. My managers do get very upset with me when I use the F word at work. Yes, it is an observation wheel, as the pods are on the outside, and there are 32 pods to represent all 32 of the London boroughs. Now, if you do go on to the London Eye later on and you find yourself in pod 33, do not be alarmed, I haven't lied to you guys. We actually removed number 13 for any superstitious guests on board. Yes, it was causing a lot of issues back in the day. People were refusing to get on number 13 in case it brought any sort of bad luck to their visit. Now, the London Eye was actually designed as a competition, as part of a competition during the 1990s, where they were looking for a new London landmark to celebrate the millennium year of 2000. And you guys will never believe it, but the London Eye lost that competition. Yes, it actually came in second place to another landmark that is further down the Thames. So when we get there, I will tell you more about that one, of course. But it's believed that the London Eye actually lost the competition initially because it was only supposed to be temporary. It was only meant to be in London for 5 years, but as we can see, guys, 24 years later, and the London Eye is still here because it was so successful within those first 5 years. Now, it did actually only gain its permanent landmark status this year on the River Thames, guys. So up until this year, the London Eye was still seen to be a temporary structure on London's skyline. But now we've got it here permanently, and it means that we all get to enjoy it now forevermore. And excellent news for me, because it means that I get to keep my job now. Now we are coming up to the Hungerford Railway Bridge, which connects into Charing Cross on the left-hand side. That's supposed to be the geographical centre of London, so anytime you see a distance to London, it's actually to this point on the left-hand side. Now we've got two bridges here, so double the opportunity for some waves. Hello! And of course, another one on the other side. Let's give it a go, guys. 3, 2, 1. Hello on the bridge! Yes, thank you. Now, over on onto the right hand side, you will see the South Bank Centre over here, guys. This has its origins in the Festival of Britain of 1951, which is when they first constructed the Royal Festival Hall as part of a tonic to the nation to cheer the Londoners up after the Second World War. It then expanded into the Queen Elizabeth Hall, the Purcell Room and the Hayward Gallery. And underneath that complex they've even got Britain's first skate park. It's called the Undercroft, opened in the 1970s, and since then has actually been the home of British skateboarding. And of course the Festival Hall also home to the London Philharmonic Orchestra. They actually rehearse inside that building every single day, and you can actually pop in and watch their rehearsals free of charge. So for any classical music fans that are on board today, if you do want to see some whilst you're visiting London, definitely head over to the Festival Hall and you can see some classical music for free. It's very nice, you do get your own little private concert whilst you're in there. Now the South Bank Centre also home to lots of different touring productions that do short stints over there at the South Bank. For example, lots of different plays, musical theatre productions, and they also host a lot of award shows over there as well, including the BAFTA Awards. Now let's see if we can get any waves up there, guys. Hello! You will see a rather ugly looking building with an electronic screen at the top of it. Now, don't worry guys, I'm not being nasty. I am allowed to say that that building looks ugly. It's actually intentional. It was designed in the architectural style of brutalism, so that's why it's got quite a harsh exterior on the outside. Now, this building was actually voted as the nation's ugliest building. Yes, not even just here in London, but the entire United Kingdom. Quite a harsh title if you ask me, guys. But do not be fooled, this is not a car park, it's actually the Royal National Theatre. And on the inside it's got three very beautiful theatres that host a variety of shows throughout the year. Often they are new productions that start their life over at the National Theatre and are produced by the National. And if they are successful, they will then transfer onto the theatres on London's West End and even sometimes over to Broadway in New York. But it's actually usually way cheaper to see a show over there at the National, guys. So for any theatre fans on board, if you want to see some good quality shows in London, but you don't want to pay West End prices, definitely check what's on at the National Theatre. You can usually get tickets for a fraction of the price. Now, over onto the right-hand side, coming up in the distance, guys, you will see a red brick building over there. Now, have a look on top of that red brick building. There is a small grey tower. Now, have a look into the windows of that grey tower, and you will see that it spells out the word OXO. Now, that is because this red brick building over here on the right-hand side is the OXO Tower, once owned by the company OXO back in the 1930s. Now, you may have heard of OXO before. They are quite famous in Britain for making beef stock cubes for making gravy. Finest English cuisine, of course. Now, when they opened this building in the 1930s, they were immediately taken to court. And that is because the River Thames that we are travelling on today is a royal highway, and therefore it's illegal to advertise your company on the Thames. So having your company name displayed at the top in those windows like that, well, that is breaking quite a few different laws. But do not worry guys, they actually hired a very clever lawyer indeed. And that lawyer said, Your Honour, I promise that is not our company name at the top. What we did was we actually just ordered a random set of geometrically shaped windows that happened to spell out the company name. And you guys will never believe it, but the judge actually believed their story and they got away with it. So that is the only technical legal advertising here on the River Thames. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've heard that the judge hasn't worked since that case. Now, he became a bit of a laughing stock. Anyone get it? Maybe still cute, thank you for the pay laughter. Don't worry guys, don't need to laugh at my terrible jokes, trust me. They just get worse the further down the Thames we get. You are in for a very long journey indeed, you've still got about half an hour left, so good luck. Now, up onto the left-hand side, you'll get an excellent view over there of St Paul's Cathedral. Now, St Paul's Cathedral is one of the world's largest domed cathedrals, and it is the fifth version of St Paul's that we've had here in London. Now, the previous version, number 4, actually burned down famously during the Great Fire of London in 1666. And that version that you can see today was designed by Sir Christopher Wren, one of the nation's most famous architects, and it was opened on Christmas Day in the year of 1711. So, quite a nice Christmas present for the Londoners that year, if you ask me. Now, you may notice that there's no tall buildings surrounding St Paul's, and that's actually due to a law in London that states that St Paul's has to be observable from 8 key points around the city. Now, some of those points are actually very far away, and that is why those skyscrapers coming up in the distance have all got really funny shapes. It's actually so that St Paul's can be seen directly through the design of all of those skyscrapers. And every time that they build a new tall building in the city, it has to get special planning permission to make sure that it abides by that law. But don't worry guys, I'll show you those skyscrapers later on if you didn't get a good view of them just now. Now, notice these mysterious red columns on either side of the road here, guys. Now, they used to be part of the St Paul's Railway Bridge that used to cross this part of the River Thames. Now, I'll tell you more about it once we pass under this bridge here. Trains that were passing over the old St Paul's Bridge started getting a little bit too heavy for that bridge. So they decided it was time to take that one down and build the 2 new Blackfriars bridges that we just passed underneath. But you may be thinking, well, that makes perfect sense, Josh, but why did they leave those red columns there? Now, the reason for that is because those red columns are so firmly embedded into the river that there is no way to get rid of them unless they use dynamite to blow them up. Now, obviously doing that will then destroy the 2 bridges that you can see today, and so guys, they couldn't come up with any other solution. So they decided just to leave those red columns there and simply hope that no one would notice them. But as you can see, well, they're not very hidden at all, and I'm sure everyone has spotted them by now. Now back over to St Paul's on the left, you've got an excellent view there now guys of the dome of the cathedral. Now if you look to the top of the cathedral, you'll see a traditional cross on display, but that was not always the intended design for St Paul's. Back during the 1600s, they actually wanted to place a 60-foot golden pineapple on top of St Paul's Cathedral. Now you may be thinking, why a pineapple? That sounds crazy. But that's actually because during the 1600s, pineapples were seen as a symbol of wealth here in England, due to the fact that they were quite rare in this country. So if you could afford to have a pineapple, it meant that you were very, very rich indeed. So they were very keen to get it on top of St Paul's Cathedral to show off that London was quite a wealthy city. But of course guys, you've noticed that obviously did not happen in the end. However, if you look down to the 2 clock towers on the left-hand side of St Paul's, you will see at the top that there are 2 miniature golden pineapples. Yes, they managed to sneak the pineapples into the design after all. Now you will actually see that in a lot of architecture around the city from the 1600s, because like I said guys, it was very popular back in that time period. Now on to the right hand side, you will see a white circular building with a thatched roof on top of it. Now this building may look like one of the oldest in the city, however guys, that was constructed in 1997. Yes, it's actually a reconstruction of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Now the original Globe Theatre used to stand further down the River Thames, and you guys guessed it burned down, just like many other things throughout London's history. The original Globe actually caught fire during a production of Henry VIII, where someone thought it was a good idea to use a live cannon during the show, which shot directly through that thatched roof and it set the whole building ablaze. Well, what can I say guys, Shakespeare definitely knows how to bring the house down. Yeah, I know, terrible, feel free to move. Now, of course, you can see traditional Shakespearean shows performed at the Globe. They run a summer season every year, starting on the 23rd of April, which was Shakespeare's birthday and believed to be the day in which he died as well. And you can actually get tickets for as little as £5, guys, so I would definitely recommend it for any Shakespeare or theatre fans on board. Now, if you have a look up to the right-hand side there in the corner, you will see the Anchor Tavern over there, believed to be one of the oldest riverside pubs in the city. Now, there's actually been a pub on that site for at least 700 years, so many famous people have actually drank at the Anchor throughout history, including William Shakespeare himself, the writer Charles Dickens, and even the first version of the English dictionary was written over there in that pub as well, guys. Now, there was also a man called Samuel Pepys that used to drink over here. He was famous in London for keeping a diary over the course of 10 years of his life that happened to capture events such as the Great Fire of London, which he saw happening from that very pub over there, guys. Now, speaking of the golden shape at the top of it. Now, this stone column is the monument to the Great Fire of London. It was also designed by Sir Christopher Wren and opened as an observation platform after the fire so that Londoners could watch the city being rebuilt from the ashes of the Great Fire of London. Now, you can actually still go up the monument today, guys. It is still used as an observation platform, and I'd highly recommend doing it. I've actually done it before and it is very fun. But I will warn you, to get up to the top of the monument, there are 311 steps and no lift to help you out. But if you do make it up there, guys, you get some amazing views of the city. You actually even get a little certificate when you come back down that says, well done for climbing up all those stairs. So it is definitely worth it, guys. Would highly recommend doing it if you were looking for a few more things to do whilst you're visiting London. Now, of course, on the other side of the river here, you've probably noticed the Shard, the tallest skyscraper here in the United Kingdom. Quite hard to miss this one, of course. Now, like I said, tallest skyscraper here, but due to the strict aviation laws in the country, we're actually not allowed to build any higher than this tower, so it will actually always remain as the tallest here in London. Now, let's see if we can get any waves up there from the bridge, guys. Looks like it is quite busy, so let's make some noise. Give them a The Shard is primarily used as an office building, but it is also home to the 5-star Shangri-La Hotel. It's got lots of different bars and restaurants up there, an observation deck called the View from the Shard, and you guys guessed it, some unaffordable housing. Yes, if you wanted to move up to the top of the Shard, well, it can set you back around £43 million. All of that, you're not even allowed to open up a window whilst you're up there, guys, and you can't keep any pets either, so I don't think it's worth it. What do we think? Now, of course, on the right-hand side coming up there as well, guys, you may be able to see that there is an 11,500-ton battle cruiser. Not at the minute because it's in camouflage, but if you can see this massive naval ship, well, that is the HMS Belfast. Now, they are vital role during the Second World War, fighting off German battleships, and even sunk Hitler's favourite warship called the Scharnhorst. Now, it then went on to fire some of the first shots on the Normandy D-Day landings. Now, of course, after the Second World War, the ship was actually set to retire, where it was going to be scrapped by the British government, until the Imperial War Museum stepped in to purchase this battle cruiser for a bargain of £1. Yes, guys, for the price of 3.5 pesos, this battle cruiser could be yours. But now it does remain here permanently on the banks of the River Thames as a floating naval museum. Now, this is also absolutely amazing, guys. I did it a few weeks ago and would highly recommend. It's like a little city on board here. There's actually, I believe, 12 floors that you can discover. So you get to go up and down, climb up lots of different things. It's very, very cool indeed. So I would definitely recommend for anybody interested in that kind of history. Now, of course, we are fast approaching one of the highlights of today's tour. Yes, coming up directly in front of us, you've now got some great views of the amazing, the magnificent, and the world-famous London Bridge, which is directly behind you guys. Yes, I did actually fool you there, sorry guys, but if you have a look behind you, the boring bridge in the distance, that is the real London Bridge. Don't worry guys, I'll show you on the way back as well, but trust me, it's very unimpressive. But if you thought that this bridge coming up ahead was called London Bridge, well guys, it's actually called Tower Bridge. But don't worry if you got it wrong, everybody gets this one wrong, even Google will get it wrong. If you type into Google London Bridge, for some reason it will show you a picture of Tower Bridge. So what can you do if you can't even trust the internet, guys, am I right? And of course the singer Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, she got it wrong as well, because in her hit single titled London Bridge back in 2006, well, what was featured in the music video? Yes, it was Tower Bridge. Silly Fergie, what is she like? It's not very Fergalicious if you ask me. Now I'm going to head towards the back of the boat now guys, so you get good pictures of the bridge without me in it, so I don't photobomb all of your pics today. But do remember, if you're on the upper deck, please do remain seated whilst getting any pictures of Tower Bridge. Now over onto the left-hand side, you will see the Tower of London over there, very notorious structure in London's history. This was first constructed in the year 1066 by William the Conqueror, and since then it's had many different purposes. including as a palace, a zoo, a royal mint and an observatory. But the Tower of London got a pretty nasty reputation as a place of imprisonment, torture and execution. Dun dun dun. But we will talk more about the Tower's grisly history on the way back. But for now guys, let's focus on the main event of Tower Bridge. Now I have actually been secretly training you for this moment guys, because there is actually an old legend that says if we wave up to Tower Bridge and get a wave back from anybody on that bridge, we will all gain 5 years good luck on board today. So let's get your hands in the air, make some noise and get some waves. Hello on the bridge! We've got a little Mexican wave there, hello! Very fun indeed guys, well done, lots of good luck on board for us now then. That means that we've all got at least 5 years good luck guys, well done. Now that is actually a true Edwardian legend, because as sailors were leaving the city, this was the last bridge that they would pass under. So all of their loved ones would be up there on Tower Bridge waving them all goodbye, in the hopes that in 5 years time when they returned that everybody would be there to welcome them back again. Now, we are in the old Port of London, guys, which was once the busiest port in the city. It was actually believed that you could cross the River Thames jumping from boat to boat without even getting your feet wet. Now that's because on the right hand side there's old warehouses over there. We've got Butler's Wharf and the Spice Building. Now these are old warehouses that used to store different foods and spices that were transported from around the world to London, and they were stored in those buildings over there. But throughout history the refrigeration technology improved quite a little bit and they no longer needed to use these warehouses anymore. So since then those warehouses have now been transformed into some more unaffordable housing. Yes, welcome to London guys, it is quite expensive to live here. I'm sure you've spotted a bit of a recurring theme going on here. Now in a second guys, we will actually start turning back round again towards the London Eye so that we can do our return journey back down. And when we do, you will actually get an amazing photo opportunity, because you will get to see Tower Bridge and the whole city of London behind it. So do make sure to get ready for that snapshot guys, it's very exciting indeed. Have your phones, cameras, social media apps at the ready. I will let you know when we do start turning round. Now you may have also noticed a very large and luxury yacht parked onto the right hand side there guys. This isn't a permanent addition on these tours, it's only been here for a few days. Actually I think it's been here for about a week now. Now I believe that this luxury yacht is actually owned by the man who owns the NFL team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and also owns Fulham Football Club as well. So if anybody interested in any sort of NFL football or any British football as well, that might be a point of interest for you guys. You can see at the front as well, they've got a little Jaguar sticking out, which is my favourite part of the yacht. I do enjoy this part a lot. Now of course guys, if you wanted to purchase this luxury yacht there on the right hand side, well I believe that it is went for around £35 million. But don't worry, if that's just a bit outside of your budget, you can actually rent that boat for a week and that will cost you the small fee of £3.1 million. So a little bargain there of course, I'm sure, for you guys. Now we are beginning to turn round now to the left hand side, which is where you will get that best photo opportunity of your tour today. Turning round onto the left, you will get to see Tower Bridge and the whole city of London behind it. So guys, do make sure to get your phones, cameras, social media apps out at the ready. You certainly will not want to miss this photo opportunity. Now of course, if you are going to post any pictures onto social media of Tower Bridge, we do have a few suggested hashtags for you all that you can use on your posts, and it will make sure that you get lots of likes and look very cool in the process. So we've got hashtag this is Tower Bridge, not London Bridge, hashtag get it right Fergie, and hashtag Josh is the best tour guide in London. Yes, that one is actually trending on Instagram guys, so if you do want to get lots of likes on your post, you know exactly which one you want to be using.
Hey, so just stay sitting down, take photos please guys, thank you.
Guys, Tower Bridge is a basketball bridge, meaning that it opens in the centre to allow large boats to pass underneath. Now back in its opening year of 1894, this bridge would have opened around 8,000 times that year. course, it is much rarer for the bridge to open nowadays, guys, but it does still happen on average at least twice a day. And if you do want to see Tower Bridge lifting, all you have to do is check online on the Tower Bridge website, and you can see a list of all the times that it's due to open. So definitely check that one out, come along down and see Tower Bridge lifting. It's very, very exciting indeed. And would definitely recommend if you're only visiting us for a few days. Give them a wave up there on the bridge, guys. Hello! Now, onto the right-hand side, you will see the Tower of London again here, guys, back up to the right. This place has a pretty nasty reputation for imprisonment, torture and execution. Now, if you look down to that old bricked up archway on the right-hand side, you will see that it says entry to the Traitors' Gate. It looks like there's two little swans right outside here. But of course, the Traitors' Gate was not so lovely. Back in the day, guys, that's where prisoners were taken by boat into the Tower of London to meet the very grisly fruit inside. And once inside, they would be imprisoned, tortured, and eventually executed. But do not worry, guys, if you were going to be executed inside the Tower of London, that was seen to be a luxury. Yes, that meant that you were a member of the royal family, and therefore you were allowed a private execution. Very kind indeed. They knew how to look after the royals back in the day, guys. It's about time they got some special treatment, don't you think? Now, of course, there are no executions at the tower today, but you will find the crown jewels inside, guarded by the yeoman warders, or more commonly known as the beefeaters. They actually live and work inside the Tower of London and know everything that there is to know about it. So if you do go inside the tower, make sure to find them, because they will actually give you a free guided tour of the Tower of London. And like I said, guys, they know everything about it, so it will be an expert tour. Now, of course, if you do one of their free tours, well, I'd always recommend leaving a tip for the beefeaters. They work very hard indeed and give you free access to their homes. And it's probably a good idea as well, because I have actually heard of another London legend who says apparently if you tip any London tour guide, you'll gain an extra 5 years good luck. How good is that? What can I say, guys? I don't make the rules, but it's well worth thinking about for the end of your tour today. Now, up onto the right-hand side, there's those funny-shaped skyscrapers that we mentioned earlier on. Now, with your funny shapes, they've also got some funny nicknames to go with them. So we've got the gherkin, the scalpel, the cheese grater, and my favourite, the walkie-talkie building. Now, the walkie-talkie has an area at the top called the Sky Gardens, which has a bar, a restaurant, and an observation deck. But it's actually entirely free to get up to the top, guys. All you need to do is book a time slot online or make a reservation for the restaurant, and you can get up there free of charge. And whilst you're up there, you get some amazing panoramic views of the city. And like I said, guys, you don't have to pay anything for it. Now, guys, this is the real London Bridge. If you still don't believe me, it does say on the side there, London Bridge, cut into the stone. So I promise you guys, I haven't lied to you, that is the real life London Bridge. I told you, it's so unimpressive. Now, you might be thinking, well, why is London Bridge so famous? Of course, well, it's because it was actually the only bridge that we had in the city for the longest time throughout London's history. We've had London Bridge here in the city for almost 2,000 years now, guys. Of course, not that bridge that you can see today, that hasn't lasted that long. But the very first version of London Bridge was constructed in the year 50 AD back in the Roman times. Now, since then, we've had many different versions of the bridge. You may have heard we had a bit of an issue keeping those bridges up throughout history. Yes, they started crumbling, getting weak, and sinking down into the Thames. And yes, guys, of course, that was the inspiration for the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. Now, this bridge that we're approaching is called Southern Bridge, but it gets the nickname of the loneliest bridge in London. Aww. It's because it sees the least foot traffic of any bridge in the city, connecting nothing of interest on this side over here to nothing of interest on that side over there. So these poor souls are definitely lost and confused. Yes, it's true, guys, even Google Maps will tell you to avoid that bridge up there. But this is the only gaslit bridge left in the city as well, though, guys. So the gas lamps on top, they are real and lit every night by British gas engineers. If you do see any gas lamps on any other bridges in the city, they are fake and use electricity. But not the ones on Southern Bridge, they are the real deal. Now, do you remember back in the beginning of your tour when I was telling you all about the London Eye, how it entered that competition and it came in second place to another landmark? Now, I know that you're all dying to find out what's the landmark that beat the London Eye. Well, guys, it's actually the bridge that we're about to pass underneath. Yes, this bridge directly in front of us beat the London Eye, coming in first place, and opened in the year 2000 as the Millennium Bridge. The Millennium Bridge did have a bit of a shaky beginning to its career, because on its opening day, thousands of people crossed over Millennium Bridge, and they noticed a very severe wobble. Yes, it was very shaky up there. People actually started falling over, and they started being sick over the edges down into the River Thames. Yes, not a good time to be on board an open top river cruise back then, guys, but thankfully you've all picked quite a nice day for it. Now, they did close that bridge down when it took 2 whole years to fix that wobble, but since then the Londoners have came up with another very silly nickname for that. They've called it the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. Now, you may recognise the Wobbly Bridge. It has had quite an extensive career in the film industry, featured in films such as Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, where at the beginning of the film, Millennium Bridge was attacked and destroyed by the Death Eaters. Then it was also featured in the film Guardians of the Galaxy, where it was also attacked and destroyed. And then it was featured in the film London Has Fallen, where you guys guessed it was attacked and destroyed. Now, of course, we are not entirely sure why Hollywood hates that Wobbly Bridge so much, but guys, rest assured, if you see it in any film that you're watching, danger is definitely just around the corner. Now, have a look up to the left-hand side, guys. You'll see one of the newer additions to the London skyline. This shiny and curvy skyscraper there is an apartment building constructed in 2015. But it does get a few suggested nicknames. Its official name is Number 1 Blackfriars. It gets a few suggested nicknames due to its unusually curvy shape for a building. So some of these nicknames include the Boomerang, the Baby Buff, the Cocktail Shaker, and my personal favourite, the Kim Kardashian. Yes, like I say, guys, I'm sure you can figure out why due to the shape of the building, so I'll say no more on that one. Now, of course, guys, this one is actually quite hard to spot. The tide is quite high here on the Thames at the minute, but over here on your left-hand side, just behind these barges, you will get a glimpse of something very shocking indeed. Even more shocking than finding out that Big Ben was not called Big Ben. Yes, if we have a look onto the left-hand side, guys, as we pass these barges, you will get a glimpse of London's very own beach. Ta-da! Yes, I know it's very hard to see, guys. It's so small at the minute because of the tide, but believe me, it is over there, I'm not lying. Now, this beach over here on the left-hand side is called Ernie's Beach. It was named after a man called Ernie that used to work in the Coin Street community, and it was his job to make sure that Londoners had affordable housing on the River Thames. Now, thanks to his hard work and 50 years of service on the Coin Street community, he was gifted with that beach over there. Like I said, guys, very hard to spot at the minute, but when the tide is low enough, trust me, people do actually flock down to that beach. Of course, on a nice sunny day, and it's when it's a bit warmer, not quite like today. But if you did fancy visiting Ernie's Beach, guys, like I said, this is a tidal river, so do make sure to check those tidal times beforehand, because as you can see, the beach is almost covered entirely at the minute. Now, onto the right-hand side, on the banks of the Thames, you will see these green lion heads with rings in their mouths, running up and down the Thames here. They used to be old mooring points in the city, so it's a place where you can tie up your boat. Now, they are no longer used for that purpose now, guys. They were used mostly during the Victorian times when people came to visit the city by boat. But the lions have their own special purpose now. They are used as a flood detection system. As I mentioned, the Thames is tidal, and it does rise all the way up to the lion heads, but it is never supposed to pass the lion heads. And if it does, that means London's in a bit of danger of flooding. But don't worry, guys, there is a rhyme that goes with this one, so if you're out later on and you see the water passing those lion heads, just remember this rhyme and you know it's time to get out of town. It says, if the lion heads are drinking, then London is sinking. If it's up to the mains, then we're going down the drains. And if the lion heads are ducked, then London is flooded. Yes, London is flooded. But I'm sure you can figure out the alternative ending to that one, guys. But I would like to keep my job today, so I won't finish that sentence. Now, on to the right-hand side, you will see a square building there with a green tiled roof at the top of it. Now, this building is the world-famous Savoy Hotel, London's first purpose-built deluxe hotel, opened in 1889, and since then has had many famous celebrities stay at the Savoy, including the likes of Marilyn Monroe and Charlie Chaplin, all the way up to Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift in more modern times. Now, I'm sure you've booked your hotels and accommodations already, guys, but if you did fancy staying a night at the Savoy Hotel and you wanted to treat yourself like royalty, you can stay inside the Royal Suite, which is the most expensive room in the house, with a very affordable price of £18,000 for one night. And that comes with amazing services, of course. You do get your own butler service, a hand-stitched mattress, and you also get 24-hour access to the hotel therapist. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think if I'd spent that much money on a hotel room, I would want to speak to that therapist. Now, some sad news for you guys. These are the last bridges on today's tour, so this will be your last opportunity to get any waves from any bridges if you have enjoyed waving at strangers today, guys. So let's give it a go. Let's make some noise. 3, 2, 1. Hello on the bridge! Yes, well done, guys. Lots of friendly waves up there for the last bridge today. Now, just to let you all know that we are going to close our toilets on board now, just so we can start getting them cleaned for our next cruise. And if you do need to use the bathrooms afterwards, though, do not panic, guys. There are actually 3 toilets in the London Eye ticket office. So once you exit the boat today, guys, head straight up to the end of the pier, and inside our ticket office, you will find the 3 bathrooms inside. Now, don't worry, guys, your tour is not over just yet. We've still got time for a few more fun facts, so do remain in your seats for now, guys, until we are safely tied up at the pier, and I will let you know when it's safe to start making your way down towards the exits. But for now, let's focus on a few more fun facts. Now, over onto your right-hand side, just behind the trees here, guys, you will see that large white building with the green roof at the top and all the different flags on top of it. Now, this building is the Ministry of Defence here in Britain, but it does actually get the nickname of the Iceberg, because what you can see at the minute is actually just the tip of the iceberg, and underneath they've got lots of nuclear bunkers and secret and hidden tunnels that span all the way across the city to places such as the Houses of Parliament, Buckingham Palace, and of course Downing Street, where the Prime Minister lives. Now, of course, that's for any sort of attack that might happen here in London, so rest assured, guys, if anything goes wrong, that all of our politicians will be absolutely fine. Us, though, we'll just have to fend for ourselves, won't we, guys? But I'm sure we can figure it out. Now, last thing I'll show you on today's tour, just behind the London Eye, you can see the County Hall building. County Hall used to be owned by the Greater London Council until they were disbanded in the 1980s. Now, since then, County Hall has had many different purposes. The actual chambers are now home to Agatha Christie's play, Witness for the Prosecution, which is a courtroom drama and murder mystery. Would definitely recommend, guys, it's very, very good indeed for any theatre lovers. And the rest of the building is owned by Merlin Entertainments, which is where you find different London attractions, such as the London Dungeon, Shrek's Adventure, and the Sea Life Aquarium. Now, guys, if any of those attractions sound of any interest to you, and you have a London Eye combination ticket, so if you've done London Eye and the River Cruise today, you can actually upgrade that ticket for a discounted price to any of the other attractions along the South Bank. Now, your tickets are also valid for up to 90 days as well, guys, so you don't need to use them today if you don't want to. You can use them for up to the next 3 months. If you did want to take advantage of any discounts, do feel free to speak to one of my colleagues in the ticket office. They'll be happy to help you guys out and let you know if your ticket is eligible for that upgrade. Well worth taking advantage of any discounts that you guys can get, so you don't have to pay the full price for things. Bargain hunting